What makes the sport so cool is that it just floats up there for you. And if you're running a deep cut and you have one of the handlers, the quarterbacks, just throw like a 60-yard bomb to you, the thing is hovering in space right in front of you. You have so much time to catch up to the disc. You can make absurd plays, absurd layouts. You see it on ESPN, the highlight reels. No wonder people are getting addicted to the sport. No wonder it's becoming one of the fastest growing sports in the nation. And to be a member of this revolution of the sport that I predict is going to blow up the next 10, 15 years is really cool.
UVA is a huge school, and we're known for academics and athletics. With all the attention that the varsity sports get, no one knows about ultimate Frisbee as a sport. Each team has 7 players on the field, and one team throws the disc all the way down the field, called the pole. The receiving team has to work the disc all the way down to the opposing team's end zone using different systems and plays. It's kind of like a combination of football, basketball, and soccer in the sense that you have to use your legs, you have to use your mind to get open and beat the other team. Night Train is the men's team.
2, 1, 2, Night Train!
And Hydra is the women's team at UVA.
Hydra!
They were both founded in 1978, and the sport was way different back then.
At least in the 70s and into the 80s, it was a very, very hippie vibe. There was a lot of tie-dye. You had guys wearing skirts and kilts and a lot of pot smoking. It was really attractive for a lot of people to have a self-refereed game. And some of them were just like fascinated by the physics of how a Frisbee spun and like hung in the air, and so they wanted an outlet for that. I sort of accepted that I would get questions about dogs and whether they were playing with us. You sort of knew what you were getting into, but that doesn't mean that you didn't want to play and make it into something that was real and that you could feel proud of. I was the captain. I wanted it to be like a varsity sport, and I was pretty unflinching in my vision of what it was going to be, and that definitely drove out a lot of the non-competitive elements. Like, they didn't want to play for that sort of overly intense dude who wanted to go practice and lay out on ice, and you know, it doesn't matter what temperature it is, we're going to get out there, we're going to go hard, because you know, if you're committed to a sport, then you're going to play a sport. Now the skill level, the knowledge, the overall investment in the sport across the board is just way different.
I had no idea that I was going to be practicing 4 times a week, 2.5 hours, and spending as much time as I have towards the sport. This is one of the highest levels of Frisbee, like, in the nation. We are a club sport, but if you don't want to put in the work to be a very intense sport, then this might not be the place for you.
I always just thought about Frisbee as you go to the beach and you like toss the plastic with the boys. Like, I never thought of it as having this whole competitive side to it.
It really kind of opened my eyes to like, wow, this is like a really cool sport, because everyone here is just an athlete and wants to compete, and it was just different from, absolutely different from what I thought it would be.
This sport is grueling on the body. People have no idea how much we run. The tournaments, wake up at 6 in the morning, be there by 7, so you can play at 8. And then you play 4 hour-and-a-half games of Frisbee. Jack Bagley, one of our teammates, had a Fitbit last year. And I'm like, Jack, I want you to track for me how many miles we run in a day.
According to my Fitbit, it was 14 miles. I think that number just goes to show that if you're not well conditioned and ready to go for a tournament, your body will suffer.
If you're sprinting for 20 minutes, if you don't have any stamina or strength to be able to last those points, you cannot be successful as a team.
Anytime you actually watch it or you actually play for a minute or two, you realize how difficult it is to get open and to throw and to catch and all the different components that make up the game of Ultimate.
One of the most beautiful things in the entire sport is laying out or diving for the disc.
It feels like you're stepping off the world and just gliding into space, because you're running full speed, you leap off of one foot and extend your arms.
And if you close your hand around that disc and you land and you just like hear the sideline erupt and hear your teammates cheer for you.
It's just incredibly fun and a freeing feeling that you don't really get anywhere else.
So many people ask me like, oh, is Ultimate Frisbee where you have like the big like metal like chains and you throw the Frisbee into like the big bucket? I'm like, no, that is Frisbee golf, not Ultimate Frisbee. I cannot tell you how many times that people have mistaken Ultimate Frisbee for Frisbee golf.
You know, when my family asks, oh, how's disc golf going? You know, you take a deep breath and you say, Ultimate's going great. Can I show you some footage about club nationals that, you know, one person laid out here and caught an incredible disc? I think the perception is that Ultimate is not a very organized sport, but when you see the world of Ultimate and how many people buy into this culture of a very competitive athletic sport, then you start to understand. But if you don't have that exposure, then no wonder my family continues to ask me, how's disc golf going?
I don't think that there are really any on-field differences between men and women's Ultimate. It's the same sport, it's the same rules. It's the same, you know, the same strategies come into play and the same types of athletes succeed.
Anytime I've watched a women's game, it's been just as intense, just as physical, just as excellent as any time I've watched a men's game. So I don't think that there's like a ceiling for women that's lower in the game of Ultimate.
How much work you want to put in, where you want to see this team at the end of our season. My goals for the team, as a player, it's to make nationals. I've been on this team for 4 years. Every single year, our goal has been to make nationals, and we've come so close.
This year is perhaps the best opportunity for Night Train to make nationals. I think we'll be good next year, but I think it's probably the program's single best shot of a year for at least the next couple years. I think if we are going to do it, this is the year we are going to do it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to Natties. That's it. We're going to Natties.
I think everyone on the team knows that's why we're here. We want to make it to nationals. It's definitely something we can do. So everyone on the team's on board for that.
NC State is a top 20 team. That game showed us how much work we have to do.
The big thing that Night Train is missing is knowledge. Between now and regionals, all of Night Train needs to get a greater knowledge of the game of Frisbee because a lot of our competition has been playing since high school, and most of Night Train has been playing for like 2-3 years.
I think everybody on our team needs to get a heck of a lot better throwing the disc, but also being smart about the disc. We know what our systems are. We don't execute them as well as we need to. I feel like we have some risk takers on this team that we need to rein in their decisions a little more, me included. But when we have the pieces there and we trust our systems, we can be the best team in the region and really surprise some folks this year. I can't wait. I love being the underdog.
I think every team wants to go to nationals, but I don't think that's necessarily the best goal.
Our goals overall are to be the best possible team that we can and to play our best when we get to regionals.
Personally, I would love to see us go to nationals, and that is a goal for me as a fourth year. But I don't want that to be a team goal because everyone should be striving to work individually to get better. And saying a lofty goal like that at the very end of the season, that's like the final goal, I think that's gonna hurt us in the present. We need those building blocks to get to a bigger goal like that.
I would like to see our team really dig deep in our pursuit towards nationals. I want to see our team really see that as a goal this year and rally together to be able to get there, because I know we can do it. I know we can.
We played Ohio State at Blue Ridge, and they were one of the top ranked teams coming into this tournament. We did not do as well as we wanted to in terms of possession and on offense.
We can run deep, but we haven't been able to do that this game. And damn, I just scored again.
I think it was a lot more of our own mistakes than it was their excellent playing.
We really need to focus on ourselves more than other teams because Hydra really is its own worst enemy. We tend to kind of multiply in drops and missed passes when we start getting in our own way. And so keeping each other focused and making sure that our bodies can handle the reps is what I think is really important to being successful as a team.
We can be an incredible team. I think we have the potential to go to nationals, but there's also a lot of work we need to put in. Where we are at right now, we're not going to be able to get there simply because a lot of our throwing skills are not quite up to par.
It's like really an ultimate team sport in that you cannot win a game by yourself because you can't run with the disc, you can't do anything with the disc other than throw it or catch it.
So you're kind of dependent on everyone else. Another thing that makes a team great is being able to trust everyone to just do their job and so that, you know, you're not stuck.
So no matter how good you are, if you're the best player in the game but you don't have anyone to throw it to you, you're not going to win anything. I think it's nice to have to rely on each other because it forges deeper bonds between teammates and makes lifelong friendships.
Night Train and Hydra are really close as teams. Like, we're really good friends with each other. I think that kind of just represents the progressive community within the sport.
In the Frisbee community in general, the people are very fun and open and very welcoming, so it's a whole different vibe versus other sports that feel just competitive and like you're there only to play.
Frisbee gives me an actual purpose. I go out to practice in order to get better. I get better so that the team gets better and we can do great things.
It's what I want my job to be like when I graduate. I know it's work and I put in towards a goal, but I never feel like I'm at work. I never feel like I'm at practice. I feel like this is the family that I got at UVA and I strive for every day.
Having a community of girls to fall back on no matter what, who I know I can be like 100% myself with and goof around with, but also have like this sport that we share in common that we love is just really exciting.